Sadly, Sasha was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Mark grabbed her from her car late at night and no one saw a thing. Still, that didn't prevent him from getting caught. Unfortunately for him, while no one had previously pressed any charges for his theft, the state of Arizona was more than happy to charge Mark for Sasha's murder and put him on trial. Mark's trial began on September 24th, 2021. In January of 2022, the jury found Mark guilty on charges of kidnapping and first-degree murder, earning him a life sentence. For his help in covering up Mark's crimes, Sam Gooch pleaded guilty and received 3 years probation. With both Sam and Mark dealt with, Sasha Krause and her family finally received the justice they deserve.
Can we stop for food? No.
I finally made someone pay for all about that. I went over to eat something I bought it here, and so I actually find one of these because some of these values when you get this I enjoy it, but and I really did. I read instead I hadn't so blurred it or something.
Located in the Orlando, Florida metropolitan area, the idyllic suburb of Winter Park is an affluent city, including the Park Avenue district. Among the residents of the exclusive area were Reed Berman and his son Oliver. Reed, a successful commercial real estate executive, had a very demanding schedule. His salvation came in the form of an assistant who served as both nanny and house manager. Her name was Jennifer Fulford, and she worked for him somewhere between 6 and 7 years. She was extremely reliable, and she did a wonderful job ensuring everything within the household was taken care of. To top it all off, she was said to be an exceptionally kind soul. The morning of September 27th, 2017, had all the makings of a normal Wednesday, but it would quickly turn tragic. Jennifer and Oliver headed out on their commute to school around 7:15 or 7:20, and when Jennifer returned to the residence afterward, she and Reed briefly discussed the day's agenda. Jennifer had a dental appointment scheduled for 9 o'clock. Then she'd meet with an art framer at the residence shortly thereafter. Other than that, it was business as usual, and she'd perform her maintenance tasks at the Berman home, then pick Oliver up from school at 3:30. As for Reed, he was on his way to a breakfast meeting. They said a quick goodbye, and though nothing seemed out of the ordinary, things were about to take a terrible turn. The first indication that something was off came in the form of a phone call from Oliver's school at 4 o'clock that afternoon. Reed was informed that Jennifer had failed to pick up his son upon dismissal. When he tried, Reed was unable to reach Jennifer on her cell phone. It seemed it had been powered off. He picked Oliver up, and the pair returned home around 5 o'clock. Upon entry, the house was eerily quiet. Jennifer was nowhere to be found. What Reed did find, however, was quite peculiar. There sat Jennifer's purse right beside the toilet of one of the downstairs bathrooms. He noticed that the seat had been left untoothed. This was unusual, considering he and Oliver rarely used that particular restroom. An inspection of the contents of Jennifer's purse was suspicious. Her wallet, cell phone, credit cards, and driver's license were missing. Her vehicle, a 2015 Hyundai Santa Fe, was nowhere to be found. At that point, Reed contacted law enforcement. However, it wasn't until approximately 6:25 that he made the call, and the reason behind the delay is unknown. Nevertheless, a Winter Park officer was quickly dispatched to his home. Reed shared what information he had with the officer. The last time he communicated with Jennifer had been through a text message he received from her a little after 11 o'clock that morning. Interestingly so, Reed had no contact information for Jennifer's husband, Robert. However, officers managed to locate him at the home he and Jennifer shared, somewhere around 7 p.m. He stated that he hadn't recently seen or spoken with Jennifer. He explained that she had an upcoming trip scheduled to visit her son and newborn granddaughter in Dallas, Texas, but wasn't due to depart until the evening of the following day.
Business phone system transcribes and summarizes every conversation. Money is on the line. Always say hello with Quote.
Even more troubling was the fact that neither Jennifer's children or any of her close friends had seen or heard from her. It seemed that Jennifer had simply vanished. That very evening, Robert examined bank records in hopes of uncovering something that could aid in the investigation. As expected, he found a record of payment to Jennifer's dental office at 10:08 that morning. However, it was the transaction that followed that gave Robert pause. His Fargo ATM was visited at 12:10 that afternoon, and a withdrawal of $300, the maximum amount allowed, occurred. According to Robert, the idea of Jennifer having withdrawn the funds was completely unlikely, or at least he thought so. Then the development came in the form of a realization that Jennifer's vehicle happened to be equipped with a service known as Blue Link, which allows Hyundai drivers to remotely access their vehicles using their smartphones. It was the hope Jennifer's SUV could be located with help from the system, but it was soon discovered that the vehicle was still registered under previous owners, and thus the account was inactive. When business hours resumed the following morning, Robert frantically completed necessary paperwork in order to have the system reactivated. And upon completion, Detective Dawes, who was one of several working the high-profile case, would be notified with any available data pertaining to the vehicle's whereabouts. Also that morning, the lead and assistant detectives paid a visit to Reed in order to conduct an interview. Reed led the detectives through his sizable home and showed them everything that seemed out of place or suspicious. He explained the details surrounding the unusual location of Jennifer's abandoned purse. Strangely enough, Reed hadn't noticed anything to be missing within the home. At least, not yet. He hadn't found any sign of forced entry either. The previous evening, when he and Oliver had arrived home, the front door was locked, and according to Reed, whoever locked it clearly had a key. He also noted that it seemed that Jennifer hadn't had a chance to complete her cleaning tasks. His bed remained unmade, and days later, he'd come to realize his comforter was missing. Trash bags littered the kitchen floor. It was as if Jennifer had been interrupted somewhere in the middle of her duties. Still, Reed was able to provide some extremely crucial information. He reviewed his alarm system activations for the previous day and continues. Initially, there was no sign that anything out of the ordinary had occurred.
You say this way, yeah, we could go.
However, a series of activations occurred thereafter, and they told an insane story.
Again, the front door we're talking about is 1147, which comes from the minutes later, Master said the person after the three series later the time. Then, 1 minute later, the front door, right out the front door. Yeah, well, what time is that? What's the time? 7:54. 11:54, and that's the last you see of, I guess, the door being closed until the back door on the garage.
Detectives gathered additional crucial information from Reed.
One thing we need, you said she has cars, the mileage, your credit card, you need that number, that bank. Yeah. We can get that, that'd be great. Was it a debit card that was here?
Yeah. Was it that's where it's
Have it on the account too?
Yes.
Okay.
And she did go after the card.
Detective reviewed Reed's activities that occurred the previous day.
yesterday, we had a big block meeting right over the water. And that was where? You know what about this, that we get a camera and we try to everything. That was the answer.
While at Reed's property, detectives collected a buccal swab from him in order to produce a sample of his DNA. Though it would appear to be a routine process, seeing how Reed was one of those closest to Jennifer.
Confidential information classified. Still the He's going to continue to solve the information you want to hide. It's gone for good. Shared securely. We have that. Fear mistakes almost every new business owner makes it. Mistake number one, treating your business like a side hustle. Whether it's a hobby, sport, or business, you always start with basic foundation. Although Mr. Miyagi, just like wax on, wax off, the Daniel King Strong Karate Foundation, your business needs a strong people foundation. Which brings us to mistake number two. Now, I use a website called Taylor Brand, called Legal Life and not only did they take care of all of them, they were surprised with that. Marketing night for business, and prevented me from making mistake number three. Business and personal finance. Unnecessary today. Once again, Taylor, your process has the key foundation and everything to keep founders organized, and business and confident.
Be a routine process. Seeing how Reed was one of those closest to Jennifer, perhaps there was something more behind the request than just standard procedure.
Alright, the other thing was that I believe this Detective Whitener asked you about earlier was if you were aware of her having any male friends.
Looking at Jen, she's a really up person. I mean, she'd come at 6:30, and man, she'd have it turned on. And they would do this thing. She's
Outgoing personality.
so she would be when that was she would try to say that some guys who get Mark strikes and tickets to Tampa, and Mark strikes to concerts, stuff like that.
Jen was a lively person who enjoyed good times with friends. Reed didn't think she was the type to run off and leave everything behind. Though, there was one thing.
You mentioned something earlier about the museum. There's a bar there, and you said you should go there.
Well, my friend, we talked about last night, we tried to figure out we were going to how to decide that was right where the first case guy started. They go out and go back and she had together with this guy. She would have done what people like that would say, it's not the work that we're doing. I can't do it again. It's like that, I'll drive to go. I achieve that's
It's kind of weird. We only talk to the station. Anything more complicated? Sure. Okay.
so that's why we keep up with
We don't know until we're trying to find it.
Detectives had to probe possibilities in order to ensure the investigation. This potential might be the theory. Just the idea of whether Jennifer had grown so tired of her routine that she left everything anything that someone as reliable as Jennifer would do such a thing, especially considering the fact that she was due to be in Kansas, spending time with her newborn granddaughter on that very night. Suddenly, a shocking development landed in the laps of law enforcement, and if detectives had any suspicion of Reed prior to the finding, or if they'd surmised that Jennifer had left on a whim, all of that instantly dissolved with word of the discovery. Surveillance footage had been obtained from the Wells Fargo ATM, where the $300 withdrawal had occurred the previous afternoon. The time was 12:10 p.m., roughly 15 minutes after the last activation of Reed's alarm system, at a location less than a mile from the residence. Though they expected to see Jennifer, what they found instead was shocking. The video showed a mysterious man stationed at the
Let's head home at the Cliffside Air Shack.
appeared to be middle-aged and was wearing eyeglasses, a white t-shirt, light-colored shorts, and bright blue tennis shoes. He had a white towel draped around his neck, and his hair was pulled back in a ponytail. On his left wrist was a watch with a distinctive plaid band. Reed was shown images of the man and the unique watch, but neither were familiar to him. Apparently, the man had later returned to the same ATM at 4:33 that afternoon, and it proved to be an unsuccessful attempt to withdraw more funds from Jennifer's account. This time, however, he was dressed in different attire. He wore a dark-colored baseball cap, what appeared to be a dark-colored jacket. His white t-shirt bore the logo Workout 32789, the numerals representing the zip code of Winter Park. In addition to the clothing change, another difference in the man's appearance was noted. This one, however, was chilling. The surfaces of his hands clearly exhibited multiple fresh cuts and wounds. We've shown images from this ATM visit. Reed recognized the t-shirt. In fact, he stated that he owned one that was very similar to it. Upon inspection, it didn't appear to Reed that his bedroom closet or dresser drawers had been rifled through. However, this would come up later in the investigation. Detectives were able to track down Jennifer's contact, Janet Grimm, who had been scheduled to deliver the framed art the previous day. Jennifer had texted Janet at 10:18, stating that she'd be back at the residence in less than 10 minutes. Not long after this time, Janet stated she missed multiple calls from Jennifer's number. At 11:33, Janet picked up a call, and on the other end was Jennifer, who Janet could only describe as totally panicked. Jennifer stated she'd have to cancel the appointment, as the surgeon just called and she had to pick all of her up right away. Naturally, Janet found the conversation odd. She attempted to reach Jennifer on her cell phone once an hour later. There was no answer. Evidence was beginning to mount. Also, on September 28th, Jennifer's SUV was located less than 5 miles from Reed's home, in the parking lot of a public supermarket. The vehicle was processed for evidence the following day, on September 29th, 2 days after Jennifer vanished, and each finding was more grim than that which came through.
Is en route. The safe window is closing. You have 10 minutes to return to Speranza. I repeat, 10 minutes.
A beer bottle was found in the front center console. According to Robert, Jennifer would never drink on the job. There was no doubt in his mind that the bottle did not belong to her. A tan canvas bag had been placed on the front passenger floorboard. Inside the bag were a white t-shirt, white towel, and a men's watch with a distinctive plaid watch band. Worst of all was the appeared to be stained with blood. The items clearly matched those the man was seen wearing on ATM footage from the first transaction 2 days prior, before the wounds to his hands had appeared. Word of the third unauthorized authorized ATM transaction came on September 29th. The location was remotely near Winter Park. It was in Jacksonville, Florida, where a $100 withdrawal occurred, approximately 140 miles north of Reed's home. A sworn statement via phone was recorded between Robert Fulford and Winter Park detective that same evening.
Did anyone have permission or authorization from you to withdraw that cash? No. Okay. In regards to that transaction, would you like to press charges, if applicable, to anyone for criminal charges? Yes, I would.
The most recent ATM activity cited in the statement was a major turning point in the investigation. It led detectives to contact the Winter Park Amtrak station, where they were able to get their hands on some critical information. On the afternoon of September 27th, a train ticket was purchased at 4:52 p.m., the destination being none other than the city of Jacksonville. And as luck would have it, there was only one passenger aboard that train. With this information, law enforcement had what they believed to be the name of a previously unidentified individual. His images had been plastered all over the media in an attempt to put a name to the menacing face. He was a 53-year-old man by the name of Scott Nelson, and a background check indicated that he was extremely dangerous and had an extensive rap sheet. Furthermore, Scott was currently on federal probation for armed robbery. Hope that Jennifer would be found safe was beginning to dwindle. The following day brought with it the much-dreaded, terribly devastating news. Just 3 days after Jennifer was last seen, the worst-case scenario had become a nightmarish reality. Jennifer's cell phone had been pinging off a cell tower located near a heavily wooded area of Orlando. Somewhere around noon, with assistance from the Orange County Sheriff's Office Aviation Unit, Jennifer's body was located. The gruesome discovery conveyed that the last moments of Jennifer's life had been absolutely hellish. But the true magnitude of the horror wouldn't be exposed until later. The merciless nature of the killing further motivated local law enforcement and U.S. Marshals, who'd been enlisted to assist with the investigation, to locate Scott Nelson. And it wouldn't take long. The day after Jennifer's battered and discarded body was found, the suspected murderer also turned up. It was shortly after 4 p.m. on October 1st that Scott was located at the Sunshine Inn Motel in Jacksonville, just a half-mile trek from where the local Amtrak station had dropped him off. Initially, it was anyone's guess as to how the apprehension was going to play out. Law enforcement was aware that Scott didn't have a lot to lose. That, paired with his violent nature, could be a recipe for absolute disaster. The showdown began with Scott's refusal when ordered to exit his room, but it proved to be short-lived, and Scott was taken into custody without incident. However, the investigation had essentially just begun. A couple hours after his apprehension, the suspect had landed himself in an interrogation room. The following never-before-seen footage has been analyzed by a qualified team, including a licensed attorney, a licensed clinical psychologist, and a licensed professional counselor.
Thank you. There's going to be a little bit of hard technical sure that you need to use if I've got to stay knock on the door, I'll be okay, thank you.
It's going to be longer than a little bit, as the detective described. The Winter Park detectives have the 140-mile trek to make up to Jacksonville. And as you can see, the extended wait time is starting to wear on Scott, approximately 2.5 hours in.
Oh, yes.
Scott has granted his restroom break, but upon his return, he'll still have an hour to wait. Finally, detectives have arrived at their destination, and they start by providing Scott with a warm welcome.
I think so.
Don't let her go dead. I gave something. I just hungry.
Gear up or
Just
get
get
moving.
some hungry.
There's see if I can grab it.
Sorry. Just kind of.
Still
Sorry
nothing.
for being hungry. Oh man, that's not a problem. It's okay.
Come on through.
Hungry. Yeah, starving.
You like to eat?
Oh, What's the trust? Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm good. Alright, guys, so I'd like to talk about any questions too. So, yeah.
The detective states that they have to go over his Miranda rights since he's in custody. He also swears in this is a initial proceeding, but the interrogation tactic to emphasize the desire for truthful answers. After
Go to research and administration.
Understands the process. The detectives proceed to question him on his
Follow here.
background. Just
See if you can get me what I need to set up a proper football league down here. I can't wait to learn how to perform a proper red card.
Close. No, of course, or anything. Hey, you're lucky for children. No children. Siblings, brothers, sisters, family. Old, so you did video? Yes.
After a long sport, Scott is starting to grow impatient.
Yes, what am I charged? Okay, right now we got some issues, right, for you. Okay, so I'd like to go into, alright, one credit card. So, this is going with credit card? You have a debit card, ATM card? What's that say? What do we think? What's that?
The question causes Scott to freeze in place, and he hesitates to answer, ultimately going for the evasive, I think response. This is a red flag for deception. It's a simple yes or no question. Of course, Scott doesn't want to provide any sort of answer here. The mere mention of a debit card likely set off alarm bells in his mind, since he used Jennifer's debit card.
That's just simple. Let's walk through the chart. Do you have any idea why you think we didn't hear? Let's go back a little bit. You were in Orlando last week. Okay. How long have you been in Orlando for? 4 months? What were you before you got to Orlando? Okay, so you got out of prison, you came right to Orlando. Yes. Were you in prison in Florida? Were you in prison somewhere else? What made you come in? It's just where they decided to. Oh, probation. Yeah. Okay. So you're doing federal probation time. That's correct. Oh, where are you taking? Rescue mission over there, right by the old police station. That's right. Rescue. Yeah. I mean, I was myself. Now, were you working right through it? Yeah, I was working for business. It's a very firm. What do you have to do it? Making apartments. Like new apartments or old apartment refurbished or like are you still employed? Did that? Why did that stop? I'm just curious to know why are we trying to come in here? That's fully up to you. You think? I mean, like,
Scott is polite when addressing the detectives, and he presents confident when he expresses that he wants an attorney. Even if we didn't know Scott's criminal history, it's evident that this isn't his first rodeo. He seems to know his rights and doesn't appear intimidated by the interview process. But just like that, after all that waiting, the conversation has come to a halt before it's really even gotten off the ground. While Scott was meant to talk on that particular night, it would only be a matter of time before he'd have a change of heart, for lack of a better way to describe it. As you're about to hear, someone who would inflict such an agonizing death on another is as heartless as he can come. It was a month to the day of their initial meeting when Scott mailed a letter to one of the detectives, expressing his desire to speak with them about the investigation. The meeting was arranged and took place on November 13th, 2017 at the Federal Detention Center in Miami.
They said 41 and DC in Miami. Everything else
This time around, Scott is so forthcoming, the details are likely to turn the stomachs of even the
Thank you.
most seasoned detectives. However, the most shocking element of all this is alleged motive. its utter raid.
Back when you said in the letter, that one of the letter would do, you know, close enough that much. I know there's some people who thought it's difficult.
The detective covers Scott's Miranda rights. Then the conversation begins. Essentially, Scott is admitting that he's willing to speak.
Thanks, Raider!
Better treatment for himself.
No!
The victim's family or do the right thing. His motivation is self-centered and narcissistic.
Thanks!
The detective is willing to listen to everything Scott wants to get off his chest.
Trying to help him with you know,
Scott continues to focus on himself as the victim in the situation and takes no accountability for what he's done.
As far as what creating all the people here.
Scott grew increasingly bitter and resentful as he took the fact that he was struggling to survive. That the Lord had shelter where he lived, that included excess of comforts and luxuries. It's important to keep in mind that people with antisocial personality disorder, SPD, have a firm opinion that they deserve everything: status, luxury, comforts, whether they've actually done anything to earn these things or not. Their sense of entitlement makes them believe that they deserve and should be given access to these things. This is why they justify how many violent projects as they're doing. That Scott is highlighting social injustices, but ultimately his beliefs seem to boil down to the fact that he thinks he's entitled to the same comforts that the residents of Winter Park enjoy. In addition, people with ASPD are extremely spiteful and vindictive, and they feel slighted by others, whether the offense is real or imagined. They will stop at nothing, and they will feel satisfied until they have sought revenge. Sometimes their idea of getting even is retaliating in a manner that is far worse than whatever the original offense was. They don't believe in an eye for an eye. They believe in delivering a much harsher punishment than what was done to them. Scott states that he was released from prison that previous May and had been on the streets for about 4 months as the rage inside him continued to build. Still facing such extreme adversities at his location. It's usually healthcare. It's likely true that he would be hurt in his It's an extremely dangerous scenario to have an ex-con feeling he has absolutely nothing to lose. His worst-case scenario was going to prison for life. Out of prison, Scott described the terrible conditions he was subjected to in prison, but it seems that the realities of freedom were better. People can become so used to living on the inside that facing life on the outside, they lack the skills to function appropriately in society. Besides believes that during the month of September, he stayed at an undisclosed location. He gives his account of one night in particular, as he sat in a picturesque gazebo of Winter Park, and it's very disturbing.
I officially got. I got. I was there. I got. Okay, I'm sorry to get that. It's well. Right. Clean cut, intelligent, highly employed for the work like a dog. I can't have down there just dead.
It was that very night that Scott made up his mind. He devised a horrific plan, and he was going to carry it out.
I'm going to do a home invasion. Don't I was going to do that. I know that this one house is having to find a fun. They find a fun in the afternoon on the 26th, and I see Jennifer getting out of the vehicle with and they go into the house. And I could tell that just by the way she was dressed that she was on the first thing I had like the house leader or something like that. But I want to give an example of the right?
It's ironic how Scott makes himself out to be the victim of the cycle of poverty and recidivism, but then he targets Jennifer, who he admitted looked like a house cleaner to him. He claims to have a grudge against the affluent people of Winter Park, yet he targeted someone who he said himself was part of the working class, and not the affluent class. This highlights that his actions really had nothing to do with the injustices of the world, and everything to do with releasing his rage however he saw fit. And exposing the question we all witnessed for ourselves.
Why did you choose her to get a fan from? Her to make an example.
Everything came about that mysterious month of September, where Scott has chosen not to disclose the location at which he was living.
The month of September, I was living in place, and there was a gentleman, long story short, they had known Jennifer, and they had an argument. That's how I knew about that house that she worked at. Killing her, he was in sleepover.
But he leaves it at that and transitions straight to September 27th. And if Scott has been successful in garnering any sympathy from the detectives, it's likely that every ounce of it will now dissipate after he recounts the terrifying events of Jennifer's last moments.
UPS, right? Yeah, they had a package. The guy delivered the package, and then he drove away. And I'm like, the doorbell, and Jennifer answered it. And I said to her, you know, the package on the doorstep here. And she said, yeah, I know. And she looked at me like, what are you telling me this? And that's when I pushed the door and pushing it. I was to shut the door. And she screamed.
his work by E.J. Photos and relevant evidence. Scott could explain that although Jennifer was mostly stating that she gave up the ATM and disclosed that she did so out of difficulty to reimburse the bank. She did, however, say that payments and sales experience long-standing Yet again, Scott confirms that the killing was completely premeditated. He details a purchase he made that consisted of items that would be used to murder an innocent person who happened to be in the wrong place at the worst possible time.
First saw it at Walmart. How many days before Kate forgot to leave before Christmas break? I purchased it with a check.
Scott's estimation was close, just off by a few days. He made the purchase at an Orlando Walmart the afternoon of September 16th, 11 days prior to when he carried out Jennifer's murder. This confirms that whether Jennifer cooperated with Scott's needs or not, he was going to murder her. There was nothing she could have done.
6 days a week, 12 hours a day? Is this on single player mode?
Every single day, it's a one-woman show.
What's the one thing you hate doing for your business?
Paperwork, forms, permits, all that back office stuff takes up so much of my time.
So LLCs, booking, permits, all that mess, you actually don't need to do that by yourself. Let me hook you up with Taylor Brands. They help you set up everything, the LLC, the licenses, and they even give you your own registered agent so you stay legal.
And I can do this from my phone?
Check it out.
There was nothing she could have done. Detectives met with asset protection officers at the Walmart just 3 days after the confession and saw it all on surveillance footage. Scott had purchased nearly $500 worth of items, including food, several cartons of cigarettes, and blue tennis shoes. And then there were the most incriminating items: a utility knife with a green handle, a package of 18-inch cable ties, and a roll of duct tape. Please be forewarned that the following description may be too graphic for some viewers. Scott eventually located a secluded, wooded area, and sadly, it seems Jennifer is well aware that there's no chance she'll make it out of the brutal attack alive.
So I got around 8 in the morning. And she started getting louder and louder, so I started getting.
Could she breathe? Put the tape, put it on her face.
From the line.
Did you ever hit her? Did you ever hit her head?
It's much. I'm taking her up. I stabbed her in the face. And once in the back, another time in the back, and the third time, I was walking away and I struck people with it. It's a fire again. You can say how much.
Let's move to that location.
Shani here. The scout team's last confirmed position was one of the field depots east of the spaceport. Find those logs and send them my way. We'll piece together where they went.
Way of depersonalizing her. It's a distancing technique so that he doesn't have to see her as a person, even though she hasn't done anything to him but try to comply and survive. Scott cleaned the blood off of himself and changed clothing in the men's restroom. It was then that he replaced his t-shirt with the Winter Park one, shown in the photos from his second visit to the ATM, which occurred that day. However, he wasn't able to mask the wounds he'd sustained on his hands as a result of the heavy brush he'd trudged through in the wooded area.
I dropped the vehicle off. And we went to the park. They were in one piece. I sat there and then I thought about John. Everything. And I was hungry.
Aside from the fact that this shows his complete lack of moral conscience and empathy, Scott being hungry after the murder indicates yet again that his only objective in life is to fulfill his own needs. People with severe antisocial personality disorder are not emotionally pained or otherwise affected by inflicting harm on others. Their threshold for feeling emotional pain for another person is very high, and in some cases, such as Scott's, non-existent. Scott ventured to a nearby 7-Eleven and, of all things, he purchased a pizza.
Well, I called it the blood pizza because the reason why I called it that is because I ordered the pizza, I bought it here with the highest level of grace that I could muster. I was actually proud of what I did because of that after all the years that I've been taking things by the federal government, all the years that I did, not having the cash enough for us to pay. All the years that we become tormented everything. I finally had a certain level of self-respect. I finally made someone pay along around it. And so I took my first piece of it. Somebody got for me to get this piece of it. So I walked down, not holding the beer, not walking, not dressed bag, not walking myself in everything up. And I walked down the street, all the rich people, walking over my jewelry, with the family, with my and all this stuff, looking at friends. And so I'm carrying my piece of little lead bastards know that I have to do.
Let's move to that location.
And I went on when I got to that mistake all the time. I ate that pizza every bite of it. I enjoyed it, peanut butter, and I'm going to eat it. And I hope it. My only regret is that I hadn't felt there anymore something later.
It's almost like Scott felt he was one of them for a short time, like he was living a piece of the good life for once. He felt vindicated because, unlike the rest of the Winter Park community, he believed he really earned that beer and pizza. It also seems like Scott was taking pleasure in knowing a secret that the community hadn't yet discovered, one that would frighten them and make them feel like their city wasn't as safe as they thought it was. He enjoys feeling like he took something from the citizens of Winter Park. He stole their peace of mind and burst the bubble they lived in. And he seems to like this, because he likely feels as if others are sharing in his misery, literally chilling the count. But clearly, it was all in vain.
You know, this is the evil part of it all. When it starts to be, after everything that's been going on, here I am back to Winter Park, and nothing's changed, you know. And I have $100 in my pocket, the broken debt, and still have things that happen to Winter Park. It isn't a deal with any better. It's even going to feel any better, but I just don't understand how things are going to go down.
A CRM shouldn't hide fees. It should save you. A CRM shouldn't slam your hands. It should work with the tools you need. A CRM shouldn't leave you in the dark. It should deliver insights clear as day. Get started for free. I needed some inspiration. So I asked ChatGPT to help me. It was so useful to brainstorm over conversations like work, going out, running errands, and his senseless death, and his motive behind it all was even more shocking. After Scott's gut-wrenching version of the nightmarish day concluded, one of the detectives asked why it was that Scott reached out with his letter. And as Scott explained, he wanted his story to be heard. Clearly, he was the victim. He also, quite obligingly, filled in the missing pieces. He hadn't intended for the murder to go unsolved, after all.
Raider. Good work. Get new arrival.
Say, newbie, if you want me to treat you...
Was the one he stole from Reed's
You're in the
home.
great.
I remember when we brought down the last Baron. We thought topside was ours again.
But in stark contrast to how Scott is able to speak of his victim so casually, without so much as a hint of emotion.
All of us.
He can't hide the fury he feels, apparent in his voice as he
Ark
speaks
was
of
back
the
within
truth
years.
behind the murder.
Reinforced.
And it's like
Relentless.
we've ever heard before.
But there are lessons to be learned. If you're willing.
My probation officer came in and
The way they used to make the way they used to make the ground tremble when they walked. I'll never forget it.
Many of the defenses around Riventides were...
Don't forget about Stella Montes. You know, that place isn't going to investigate itself.
I did what I got to do to survive. He did what he had to put me in that position.
It's not just Ark's operations that are escalating. It's the weather, too.
It's always someone else who caused them to make poor
The
decisions.
kids around here just kick the casings into the vents as hard as they can. But apparently, that's not how you do
Seems
it.
to believe that his probation officer had sabotaged his job, his source of income, and that these things warranted him committing a crime. In his mind, it's all a conspiracy. Law enforcement decides who will be placed on a path doomed for failure.
They really had a notion in their head that they wanted to destroy this Pakistani guy in prison. I mean, that's what they do. I mean, they have certain reasons. They started acting, you know, they had it's just something happening that I'm hungry, I'm talented, I have no homeless. I should be they're going to put me in prison anyway. The bottom line is this, is that my probation department says they put me in this situation with one of those people that are here in prisons. I still walk around with cloths and okay, because you have no idea how sick and evil that is to do with it.
However, Scott's assertion that various government agencies were what drove him to murder wouldn't get him very far. He'd said it himself. There was enough forensic evidence to tie him to the murder. The beer bottle contained Scott's DNA. In addition, the white t-shirt, white towel, and watch with the distinctive band that were located in the canvas bag within Jennifer's SUV had been analyzed by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement Forensic Lab. Each item showed visible staining that appeared to be blood, and the stains were confirmed to match both Jennifer's and Scott's DNA profiles.
Is there anybody out there that and there's one thing I really want
Despite Scott's claim that he understands, he declines to divulge any additional information, and the interview ends. Whether there's any truth in his assertion remains to be seen, but the idea, as terrifying as it is, could be all too real. We know exactly what Scott is capable of. Before his trial, Scott wrote to the judge, and, true to his character, he made even more shockingly selfish statements. In the letter, Scott claimed that he had already admitted to unsolved armed bank robberies, and that he promised to divulge information about 8 homicides he committed, ones he has never been caught for. Why would he suddenly give up that crucial information? Well, Scott claimed that since his arrest, he had lost 40 pounds of body weight because he doesn't get enough food in prison. He made his demands very clear, writing, "I'm starving to death, and I'm asking to be fed more food." That's right. He would admit to 8 murders in exchange for more food in jail. The trial wouldn't take place until late June of 2019, nearly 2 years after Jennifer's brutal murder. Scott elected to testify, likely against the advice of his attorneys. He told all of the heinous details of Jennifer's last moments. Not surprisingly, he continued to blame his parole officer entirely for Jennifer's death. The idea that justice could truly be served in a case such as this is unrealistic. If nothing else, however, Scott didn't receive the sentence to death he'd sought. He was found guilty on all counts, including first-degree murder, and was sentenced to life in prison without any chance of parole.
Business owners, I'm talking to y'all. You do know that you should be running your business under an LLC, right? Did y'all know you can form an LLC with $0 real estate fees with Zen Business? Zen Business makes this process so easy for you. Zen Business has a really easy-to-use filing process with the fastest LLC filing options. They offer a one-day filing process to start fast. I need y'all to visit ZenBusiness.com and get your business started the right way.
So it's like I keep finding myself in the middle of this stuff.
The following is based on official police records, and the footage has never been seen before.
Ray, and for me, it's always been about entrepreneurship. As a kid, I
So it's like I keep finding myself in all this stuff. You know, then I have to print that as well. And then once I do, then it's, okay, sorry. Discuss the allegations.
The blackout detector team had a call.
Stopped by two security guards after he'd loaded up his truck with wooden pallets taken from behind Lowe's. The guards worked for the Cornerstone Security Group, which provided armed security and was hired only to patrol the parking lots of Delta Park. While it's unclear what happened prior to the security guard's body cam footage being turned on, Freddy can be seen trying to leave.
You said you're tripping. You're looking for a fight, man. Whatever. I already tell me the adrenaline's pumping through you. You're ready. You're balling up your fists. I get it. I see it. I'm not in the fist. I'm my kids. You want to fight. You just. So you know what? Yeah, so you're trying to agitate it right now. And you're trying to agitate it. You're trying to agitate it, right? I'm going to take you down. You're trying to agitate it, right? You understand me? You're trying to agitate it, right? Okay, if there's no violence, you understand what's saying? I do. Okay, good. So you done really bad. Really bad. Hey, look, I'm giving you my vehicle. Show you. You're talking to me. Okay, go to your vehicle. Don't be giving orders. Now, I gotta go to work anyway. Go to work. You stay on this side when you come back. Whatever. You please go. You're not blocking the road, a public road.
One of the guards parked the red vehicle you can see in the footage, and it blocked Freddy's ability to leave.
Where's the bandit? Oh, yeah. You. I'm not. Step back. I'm not dealing with chairs. You understand? Step back. Just go from there. Not give me the attitude. I apologize for that.
The guard eventually moved his vehicle so Freddy could leave. But this was just the beginning of the volatile incidents between Freddy and the Cornerstone security guards. In January 2021, Freddy was once again approached by 2 guards. They saw that he had collected more pallets and had left his red and black truck out front while he went inside the store.
All right. We can wait here. Yeah.
Okay. Because I know we've had this problem before doing it. So
Yeah.
it's time to do it. Because we keep telling him.
Are you saying you're excluding him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I know that in the past we've told him not to do that. We keep telling people not to do that. So other guys have been excluded.
Yep.
He's excluded.
Yep. Yeah, you're not supposed to take pallets. I know.
While the guards waited for Freddy to come to his vehicle, they took a look at how many pallets he'd taken. While they seemed to be under the impression that Freddy didn't have permission to take the pallets, this wasn't the case.
We're going to tell him, take those pallets, take them off site, and don't come back until January, what's today, 15th?
Yep, January 15th, 2023.
That's right.
Freddy had been collecting pallets from Lowe's for a few months at that point.
He doesn't. Yeah. We've spoken at Kirby Avenue a couple times. He really doesn't like us.
Well, he's not gonna like us right now.
Nope.
But
yeah, no. I'd rather do a show of force on this guy than not.
It was at this moment that Freddy exited the store.
So, we see that you're taking pallets.
Yeah, it's Tin Talk Manager.
Okay, so here's the problem. It's a property rule violation. So this has nothing to do with Lowe's. We are going to ask you to go ahead and take these pallets off for now, but the problem is because of multiple property rule violations in the past with other people doing it, we're having to enforce it to the point that we're not going to let you back onto Delta Park Center property for the next year. Okay?
Oh, I'm not allowed right now?
Yeah, we're going to ask you to leave. Like I said, you can take these pallets, but yeah, we can't have you back on Delta Park Center property for the next year.
What?
You have outstanding approval odds for a credit card, and a new card could mean more cash back, a nice sign-up bonus.
For the next year.
What? I got closed.
What was that?
I got closed.
No, sir. You can take it up with the property owner at Delta Park Center.
Right.
Don't mind me. Okay.
While this incident ended without issue, things would only escalate from here. What no one could have predicted was just how explosive things would become. On April 19th, Freddy was once again stopped by a security guard while he was behind Lowe's, about to collect more pallets.
No, you leave this property now.
You leave the property now.
No.
Hey, whatever.
Okay, turn around. I'm gonna put you under arrest.
No, you're not.
You want to bet?
No.
You are under arrest now.
No, I'm not. I just came out of the office.
No.
Yeah.
You are trespassed from the Delta Park property. You are not to be here.
I just came out of the...
I don't care.
Well, don't deal with him.
I'm not. I'm dealing with you.
No. Well, I'm not under arrest.
You will be here in a second.
What's your name and ID number?
You don't need it.
So I don't even know you're a legitimate security officer.
I am a legitimate security officer.
How do I know?
Because I'm right here. I
You
work for
can
Delta. You're right, I can, but I work for Delta Park.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
You work for TNT.
Same thing.
No, it's not.
It is.
They
You
don't
are not allowed to be here. You are not allowed to be. You need to leave now.
Don't talk about
No, I'm not going to.
An incident report from a week before this footage reveals that a security guard spoke to the Lowe's manager and confirmed that the company Freddy worked for was actually contracted to pick up the pallets. Freddy even showed the business card to the guard and the manager. The report claimed that the pallets were supposed to be picked up in a truck with the company logo, which Freddy's truck didn't have. Regardless, it seemed like the guards knew he had permission from Lowe's to be there, and yet were still telling him to leave.
Well, yeah, whatever.
You need to leave now.
I got work to do.
Leave.
As soon as I'm done.
No.
You don't even know the rules.
I do.
Yeah.
You are trespassed from this property.
Yeah.
Go for arrest.
Stay away. If you're not arresting me,
Want to bet?
back on.
Go ahead. I got the same thing you do. Yeah, well, then back up. No, not going to.
According to the report later filed after this dispute, the guard claimed that Freddy had a small can of pepper spray in his left hand. However, the footage shows that the can appears to be in his right hand. The guard stated that he then pulled out his own pepper spray for self-defense.
You're interested me. Go to bed? Talk to management. No, I'm not going to. It's time for you to leave.
Freddy then began walking back towards Lowe's.
It's time for you to leave. You are trespassing on his property. No, actually, I'm not. I need you out here now, please. I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that. I need you out here. Can you call the police then? Yep. I'm gonna be arresting Freddy here. Yep. I need PD out here now. Behind Lowe's. Yep.
While Freddy headed into Lowe's to get management, the security guard aired his grievances to a bystander.
He's trespassing the property. He knows it. So he's not going to come back here without me, please. So I'll do it. Watch me. Oh no, this is what he does.
The incident report from that day states that the Lowe's management did ultimately ask Freddy to leave, but said that they would figure everything out so he could get pallets later. It appears that despite the security guards trespassing Freddy, the Lowe's management still expected him to come and pick up pallets. This would become very important later. The report also claimed that Freddy was trespassed on April 12th for allegedly stealing pallets, while other footage showed him being told he was initially trespassed in January. More discrepancies would come up soon. While the continued clashes between Freddy and the security guards were certainly distressing, things would only intensify from here. Once again, Freddy was approached by two guards, this time while he was in the front parking lot at Lowe's.
Go! Get off the property! You need to get off the property. Go! Want to play that game? Okay. You can be here. You did nothing. You can't be here. Yes, you have. You've been excluded from Delta Park property for 1 year. You are now trespassing, sitting into the property. You are not supposed to be on Delta Park property. One, help somebody get away from stealing. You have that documented. You have that documented. You have to document it. You're not a vendor. We've already talked to him. So, either you need to leave or you go to handcuffs. Decide. Want to play that game? Okay, now. Okay. Then, okay, let's call PD.
Officer. Officer. What's up? I gave you my name. Yep.
We have Bolo down. So,
The security guards did in fact have a bee on the lookout for Freddy. The Bolo shared with the Cornerstone security guards stated he has attempted to state he is an approved vendor for Lowe's. Regardless if he is or isn't, he is not allowed in Delta Park Center. Notably, while the Bolo says that Freddy can be hostile, it clearly states that he's not known to be combative. The Bolo also directs the guards to place him in custody if he does not comply with orders to leave the property. Everything came to a head on May 29, 2021, when Freddy parked in the Lowe's lot with plans to look at flowers with his wife. Within 30 seconds of parking, and before the couple had time to walk away from their truck, they were approached by a Cornerstone vehicle. The security guard stopped partially in front of Freddy's truck, and an altercation immediately began, one so dramatic that witnesses nearby started filming. 28-year-old Logan Gimble, Cornerstone security guard, confronted Freddy and Carrie, telling Freddy that he was under arrest for trespassing. Freddy apparently argued that Logan had no authority to arrest him. While this part of the argument wasn't filmed, Logan turned on his body cam soon after, capturing the rest of the harrowing incident.
Off my property. You know you've been trespassed. You know you're not supposed to be here.
We head in the summer, we have a tune-up special going on for both your furnace and your air conditioning system.
You refusing to leave my property? I told you to leave property. I told you to leave property. You've been trespassed and lured multiple times. Get the vehicle now! You already tried to hit me once! You move this vehicle again, I will fire!
Logan immediately shot 4 times into the windshield of the truck, fatally wounding Freddy.
I told you to stop! You're not able to vehicle at me! Call the authorities now! I told you not to move the vehicle! I told you! Oh my God! You already tried to hit me in the vehicle once! And that is assault! You all need is pepper spray!
All of this occurred in less than a minute after Logan turned on his body cam. In the immediate aftermath, a witness to the horrific event called 911.
I think I just witnessed a killing at Lowe's.
I told you, he tried to hit me! Just shoot him! Because he tried to hit me with a vehicle! That is assault with a deadly weapon! He killed my husband! He killed my husband! Are you on the authorities with them right now? One right now. Told them that he's been trespassed multiple times. I watched you. Okay. We all watched you. Yes, he's shot. Yes, we definitely. I see blood. Yes. He's bleeding out. Okay. Do they want me to render aid? I don't know what to do at this point. You want security to render aid? Medical. What do you want to do? I'm right here standing by. My camera's on. Everything's been recorded. Yeah, they just shot my husband. She's hysterical, and rightfully so. I shot him 4 times because he tried to hit me with the vehicle. They're on the authorities with him right now. He locked his door. He tried to hit me and pinned me between the vehicle. Man, do you have a key to get in the car? Give me a key.
Right away, Logan begins repeating his version of events, but there are some key specifics in his story that will be challenged later.
And he said, "Stop, or I'm going to shoot you." And the guy tried to run him over again. He tried 2 separate times. I know. And he's got it all on his camera. Take care of your husband. He also attempted to pepper spray me. He what? He also attempted to pepper spray. Was that what that was? He shot out the window? Yep.
Notably, Logan doesn't mention that he first pushed a bottle of pepper spray into the partially open back window of the Nelson's truck and attempted to spray the couple.
He's been trespassed by me, every security member on my team. He's been trespassed by the police, and he's been trespassed by the owner of Delta Park. So, throw that. And he continues to come on property.
Okay. While they wait for the police and ambulance to arrive, Logan makes a few questionable comments, seemingly talking to himself.
I did not think I'd have to do that. Of course, they're gonna sympathize with the victim.
I think you're right to run a fountain.
I know you're trying to help. I just want to make sure that they're thinking. They're apparently two paramedics. It's out of my scope. I just tried to pin me between the vehicle right here, and then tried to hit me right here again.
About 5 minutes after the shooting, officers arrive on the scene.
I don't know what you need me to do. This is the first time I've ever had to do this. Okay. I had to discharge my firearm.
Logan claimed he was the site supervisor responsible for all of Delta Park. He then told officers that Freddie had attempted to hit and pin him between his own security vehicle and his truck. The officers instruct Logan to call his supervisor, and he once again relays the same story, this time emphasizing the notable detail.
He angled the car for me, tried to floor the gas, and that's when I fired.
In the middle of the officers checking Freddie for signs of life, Logan makes this.
Get out of here! You are fired! Go!
Last year I made $500K. That's $750,000. This year we get
As the officers checking Freddie for signs of life, Logan makes this request.
Is there a way I can get tomorrow off?